Hello, everyone. My name is Lance Smith. I'm from San Diego, California, and I want to thank you for jumping in here and joining me today. What I'm going to be doing today is I'm going to be talking about the benefits or the competitive advantage of Three's financial reward plan. Now, if you're watching this video right now, the chance is pretty good that somebody contacted you and shared this idea of Three and the benefits it has from a health standpoint, the benefits it has from an opportunity standpoint, and they probably talked about making some money in there somewhere. And so the fact that you're here means you want to do your homework and maybe do a deeper dive as far as how the compensation plan works and what the benefits are compared to others. And I also know that there's going to be a lot of you that are going to jump in here that maybe you've been around for a little while and you've been with other companies and maybe those companies built up and failed. Maybe you had some success. Maybe you didn't. But I want to thank you for being here. I absolutely love our industry. I've been in it for over 3 decades, and I've been full-time for over 30 years. I absolutely love what it is I do when done right. And with Three, that was the initial plan from the very beginning, is put together a legacy company that's going to stand the test of time and do this right with the right people. No, so my story starts back, back in the late 80s, early 90s. I got involved in my early 20s into the network marketing world. I was broke. I was living out here in San Diego, and I had my cousin came down actually to show my plans and opportunity that he saw the day before. I went ahead and walked in there. My parents actually walked out. I walked in, and I looked at the compensation plan off of a 3x5 cards. He took some notes, and I read them to myself. Decided to jump in, and didn't have a success the first year. Put some people in, they quit, started to learn, read a lot of books. The next year it started to come in pretty good. And by the third year, we had, my wife and I had left our jobs. And by the time we were 25, we actually bought the house we live in today. And since then, it's been an amazing journey. We've been with $3 billion companies in that time frame as on the advisory boards and the global advisory boards of $3 billion companies. And so we've known this business for a long time, and we absolutely love it. And I'm going to tell you what we love about Three's compensation plan, and we're going to get into the details. And so with that, again, I thank you for being here. Let me go ahead and share my screen, and we'll get into it. So let's see. Here we go. So what I first want to do is I want to recommend that before we go into any of the compensation plan at all, I recommend you get back with the person who invited you, or if you're involved, to get a copy of the financial rewards plan. The reason why I like you to do that is when we do videos like this, they tend to stay on the internet for a long time. And I want to make sure you have the current copy so that anything I say here moving forward, there's no discrepancies. And so this is a 2-page chart. It goes through each of the incomes, goes through the different ranks, how you qualify for those ranks. And so you can get that copy. And again, if you're a brand ambassador of Three, you go into your back office, and under tools, you can see documents and media there, and you'll see a link to a PDF. It's the financial reward plan. And again, if you're not a brand ambassador, talk to the person that invited you. They can go back here in their back office and they can print one out for you so you can see it. I also want to throw a disclaimer out there that the complete compensation plan is available back there. I said that what I'm going to do moving forward, there is no income claim in any way, shape, or form. This is for educational purposes only, and changes may apply down the road. And so now we've got the legalese out of the way. Let's talk about the different incomes. So with the compensation plan, the odds are pretty good that you've seen this already. If you haven't, we do a call on Mondays that goes through the compensation. It actually goes through the whole presentation. There's recordings out there. You can watch that. But I just want to give a recap real quick that there's 8 ways of making money, and I'm going to go through those real fast and then talk about why I believe this is the best compensation plan out there. So the first way to make money is through the retail commissions. It's at 25%. So somebody goes you send somebody to our website. You first become a brand ambassador. You send somebody to the website. They purchase product. They pay the retail price, and from that, 25% comes back to you. It's pretty straightforward. The same as any company that's really out there. Customers that want to buy on an ongoing basis, there's a preferred customer program that for $30 they can register and they can get the wholesale price of our products. And from that, there's what we call a CAB bonus, or a customer acquisition bonus, that gets paid to the referring brand ambassador. The third way is also in the sales category, and it's based on what we call the PIB bonus, the product introduction bonus. When you refer people to to Three and they join you, and they buy an intro pack, a premium pack, a business builder pack, or a founders pack, there is a PIB bonus that comes in between $25 and $350, depending on what pack they bought. And so those come in at the very beginning. The next thing is the team commissions. And this is where a lot of the income will come in at the beginning. We are a binary compensation plan, really kind of a new generation binary compensation plan. It's a 300, 600 CV cycles. The cycles will cap at 500 cycles per week, and it goes infinitely deep. And we have a feature called Happy 10 that really is to incentivize the right behavior. So if somebody has between 10 and between 10 brand ambassadors that are personally enrolled and or customers that are enrolled, and they do over 1,000 CV personally, they'll get their cycles. They'll go from $35 a cycle up to $45 a cycle. And the Happy 10 also kicks in on the cap for the cycles. The cycles normally cap at 500, but if you actually have your Happy 10, you'll be able to cycle up to 600 times, which adds certainly another $4,500 to the when you max out the compensation plan, or if you max it out. And it also comes in on the check match bonuses, but I'll go more in depth on the binary here in a minute. The next thing is the leadership matching bonus. And I love this bonus because it's really what our industry does. And that's, pay people for helping other people become successful. I was never into sales of real estate, only as an investor. But if I was ever into sales, I'd want to be a broker. The realtor gets the most money because they're the tip of the spear that makes the sale. But a broker is the one that can work with a lot of people. And if he helps his people and his team become successful, he gets a small percentage times all of them. And that's really what we do in our industry. And that's really our whole industry is based on that. And so we have the leadership matching bonus is a huge part of our plan, and something that long term is really where the real wealth comes in from this compensation plan. The next one is a global leadership pool. That's a 3%. We're in 14 different countries right now. But again, we've launched this in May of 2023 is when we launched. We're in 14 countries now, but there was a lot of us that were in 130, 140 countries a couple of years ago. We've got people in all those places, and it's going to be exciting to watch this roll out and watch that 3% pool for those that qualify to get it. And again, you can look at the back office or the financial rewards plan for the details on that. There's also, for a limited time, there's what we call a 2% global founders pool, and this is for people who purchase a founders pack. And when we open up new countries, we'll be releasing those. And if at this time when you watch this video, if these are still available, man, I highly recommend that you either upgrade to a founders pack or you purchase a founders pack, because when we cap these things, and this becomes what we're planning on, we're building $1 billion project here. The people who are part of that pool, it's going to be a great bonus for them. And then the final one is the rank advancement bonuses, and that's based on, as you move up in ranks, you'll either get reward certificates, tokens, which actually allow you to buy products that have volume attached to it, and then there's cash bonuses that come in. And so let me talk about why I like this compensation plan. Again, in doing this for a lot of years, there's a lot of debate out there as far as what's the best compensation plan. Is it a unilevel? Is it a matrix? Is it a force matrix? Is it the binary? There's a lot of different types of comp plans that are out there. And again, I've been on the board of 3 big companies, and I've studied these. And it's an interesting thing. What you want to do is you want to make sure that you get in the right one. For me, I got involved in the industry. I got involved in a company that was really the compensation plan was built over 60 or 70 years ago. It was a unilevel plan, and I really didn't understand the way that it was set up. And the problem was once I started to hit the ranks and I wasn't making the income I thought that I should, I went back and looked, and there were flaws in the compensation plan that really held back or restrained the income. And there's also things, and you can take this with any compensation plan out there. Every one of them has their own nuances. Every one of them has the different ways that you want to work them. But you want to make sure that they incentivize the right behavior. You don't want to have things that are built into a compensation plan that are counterintuitive to the way that we build. As an example, one of the compensation plans we worked with, if you had someone in your group that hit a bigger rank, you lost income. And so that's kind of counterintuitive, because now you don't want your people to go hit, the bigger ranks. And so you're not supporting the right people. And so when we put this compensation plan together late last year and the beginning of this year, we really took, hundreds of years of knowledge, then we put it together of all the ways to make this really the best compensation plan out there. And what I love about the binary is I love the way that you're able to go out there and just leverage the ability, or leverage the growth of an organization through all of your teams. And let me just give you my own personal example. The first 20 years I was involved in a unilevel compensation plan, and I love the company and I had a great experience over there. But we had to go out there and sponsor a whole bunch of people personally to max out the compensation plan in this unilevel. You had to have 24 frontline personals. And so it was very, very difficult. And the problem was that there was nobody above me who put anyone below me. When I would go ahead and I'd get somebody on fire and get a group growing, you know, it would hurt. It would help the person that has the fire underneath them. It'd help the person I sponsored and help me. But everybody else was kind of left out there, you know. And I'd go ahead and sponsor somebody else who was kind of excited, and that would help that person, and it would help me, but it wouldn't help anybody else. And what I love about the binary is it really takes the unilevel. And by the way, unilevels have been around probably longer than anyone else. And they're one of the most used compensation plans. And we do pay our check match off of a unilevel. You'll have a first generation, second generation. We go down 7 generations. And I'll talk more about that in a minute. But we literally take this unilevel and we collapse it into 2 legs. So what it does is it gives us a right leg and it gives us a left leg. And now from here on out, when I registered early this year along with everybody else, it really gave me 2 teams, a right team and a left team. And for the as long as I'm part of this company, as long as we're building out here, I'm going to be dropping people right. I'm going to be dropping people left. And what that does is when you light a fire over here, it not only helps the person that it's under, it not only helps the personal that I sponsored, but it helps other personals and other leaders and other people who caught the vision before. We could be down 6 months, a year down the road, and we could throw, you know, a fire at the bottom of, I mean, literally hundreds of people in depth. And everyone who got involved above that is going to benefit because of the spillover volume that goes up. And it's one of the great things about the binary compensation plan, because when you go out there and build this thing right, and you continue to grow each of those legs, the people who are caught up in the way, they can't help but benefit from it. And then they just have to build their inside leg or their pay leg. So the second thing is it's a balanced payout. And this is an important one because you know, I've studied these over time, and there's all kinds of compensation plan. I've seen them where you don't make a lot of money at the beginning, you don't make a lot at the middle, you don't make a lot at the end, but most of them kind of boil down to where, you know, you have some different types. You know, so the first type would be a bottom-heavy compensation plan, which would be similar to the party model type, where a lot of the money goes to the person who makes, you know, the sale, or the tip of the tip of the spear, which is the person making the sale. It goes down to that person, and you know, that's great because, you know, there's a lot of them. The Tupperware, I mean, I could go through a list of all kinds of companies that are out there. You know, Pampered Chef. There's a bunch of them out there that use this model, and it's great. But you know, what I found is that I was looking for something that had more of a residual nature to it that would allow us to profit off of helping people become successful. And you know, if most of the money is at the very beginning, then as it builds itself out, there's really not a big income that's based on helping others. And so a lot of those you're in business for, you're in business by yourself, and you don't necessarily get the support. And you certainly, even if you build it big, you don't have the overrides that you typically should get if you're within another compensation plan. And then there's other compensation plans that are top-heavy compensation plans. You get involved and you don't make a lot of money for a long time, and then all of a sudden you hit the right thing, and now next thing you know you're making a bunch of money. And I've seen a lot of compensation plans that have done that, you know, where there's people out there holding their checks up and they're driving around a Ferrari. But I'm going to be honest with you, and doing this for, you know, over 3 decades, I would rather make less money and make sure that my team is making money so that my business is secure than to have a big check and a Ferrari, knowing there's nobody in my group that's making money. And one of the reasons why we have the career that we've got is it was funny because I got involved in my early 20s at 21, 22. And the guy who showed it to me, my cousin, he says, hey, this is a 2 to 5 year plan. I said, well, better be more than a 2 to 5 year plan, because in 2 to 5 years, I'll still be in my 20s. You know, I want to have a lifetime plan, and it takes a different type of a mentality if you want to build this long term. There's a lot of people in here that I've seen come through this industry that we call them one-hit wonders. You know, they come in, they, you know, big boom, they, you know, make a bunch of money, have nice cars, and then the thing goes away, because that's exactly what happens when nobody's making money. And so when we put 3 together, we looked and said, you know what, we want to incentivize this at each level. And so the first level is when you get involved, it's the retail cab and the PIB bonus. So the first run that you're going to have is literally from registering itself to what we call the 3-star rank. And that really is to set up your structure, what you're doing for the first couple of months. And I've seen people do this in a few days, but what you're doing at the beginning is you're setting up your structure. So you have some people on your right team and some people on your left team. We want to make sure that you've got 5 or 6 growing legs that are, that are putting together some volume. And in this stage right here, most of your income is going to come from retail. It's going to come from the cab bonus, and it's going to come from the PIB bonus. Now, starting the 3-star elite all the way up to 7-star, is the next part, which is the team commissions or the cycles, and that's where we help people build down and they balance out the sides. And so every time one leg has 300 points, and the other one has 600 points, the commission engine kicks in. It cycles you at $35 or $45, depending on if you have your happy 10. And that happens in real times. And again, in this, you can cycle up to 500 times a week, 600 times if you've got your happy 10. And so it'll cap out at what is that, 27,000 something dollars a week. And even as short of a time as we've had this together, I can tell you confidently there are people who have hit the cap of that compensation plan already. And so that's where the cycle comes in. That gives you a really good boost in there, but you also have the balance of people at the beginning making money. And then long term, we have a couple of bonuses. Oops, I hit the wrong button. So let me hit these again real quick. Long term, we have the matching bonus, and the 3% global pool is really where the income comes in for the long term. And the matching bonus is interesting. With my previous platform, we had a similar compensation plan, and I've got some friends and some partners that are here with this company that we're literally making 6 figures a week just off the matching bonuses, because they were able to help a lot of people make a lot of money, and I love that part. And then the 3% global pool comes in. We pay that on a weekly bonus and on a weekly level, and so those two right there can keep the long-term benefit, and so it balances it out where there's money at the beginning, there's money in the middle, and long-term you're not going to see a more profitable compensation plan, at least in my experience. And so that's the second thing, is a balanced payout. The next thing is that it's global and it's seamless. Believe it or not, the first company I got involved with, I got involved in the United States, and I wanted to go build a business in Mexico, and I had to sign myself up in Mexico. And then it went over to Japan, and I had to sign myself up in Japan. And I think 20 years later, I think I signed myself up 62 times in 62 different countries. I had to start at zero at each of those. And so I love a global seamless plan. And what that means is that if you live in the United States and you get in today and you know somebody in Japan, you can sponsor someone in Japan or register in Japan, and the volume that they do is going to be exactly the same as the volume out here, and it counts. And that person in Japan can know somebody in New Zealand, who knows somebody in Indonesia, who knows somebody in the Philippines. That person in the Philippines may know someone in Canada, and shoot, who knows? You may be at a point where you're doing a meeting, out in California, and you're doing a meeting, 8-10 people in depth, and that volume goes through all those countries, and everyone benefits from it. And this global and seamless compensation plan, man, this is a game changer for anyone who builds a global type business. And it used to be that you were, we called it the 5 degrees of separation. You know somebody who knows somebody, knows someone who knows someone in China, or knows somebody in Japan, or knows somebody in the Philippines. The truth of the matter was, with social media and with becoming going from a home-based business to a phone-based business, man, you're 1 degree away from anywhere in the world, and we're excited about watching this thing build itself out globally. The next benefit that we have is that it pays infinitely deep. Now, the cap is, or the matching bonus I'll talk about next, will only go 7 generations in depth. But down the binary, it can go down as far as you want. You can be 1,000 people in depth and find a leader down there that really locks it in and moves up the compensation plan. And this is so much better than a lot of the ones that cap it below a certain level. You don't get paid. And again, if you've got a big leg down there and nobody's getting paid on it, eventually it doesn't stay a big leg because nobody's really working it. And having it paid down infinitely deep is a huge advantage. The matching bonus is the one that I think is again one of the best adds to the 3 compensation plan, because it goes from hit the bonus down here. So it goes from a 20% in the first generation down to 15% the next generation, 10%, and then 5% down another 4 generations. And what's cool about that is with other companies, with my first company, I had dozens of people who had sponsored someone really big, but they only really sponsored 1 good leg, and they made 0 in the compensation plan. And I'm not recommending you to do this, but I'll tell you the way that this is set up. You could have a little volume on your in this example, a little volume on your left side, a few hundred points going through a month. And let's say you go over and you sponsor Max, and Max is called Max because he maxed out the comp plan. Maybe he was involved in their company, maybe he brought a big team over, but at some point Max went out there and built this thing, and now he's got his happy 10, he's cycling at 27,000 a week, and from that you get a 20% check match on that first level. And so this person's making that, and from that 20%, you're making $3,500. And by the way, the check match goes off of $35 cycles, not off the $45 cycles. So you're literally that person Max is making $17,500 a week at the $35 level. And again, if he's got 600, he can move on up. But you're getting paid on the 500. At 20%, you're making $3,500. At 30%, you're making $5,250 a week in volume. or an income based on that one person, the one leg with a little volume on the other side. Now, again, this is, I don't recommend you try to build it this way. But the fact that it's in place, if you bring people into your team and you help them make money, there's a huge income that comes along with that. I mean, literally with my old company, you wouldn't make any money in this scenario. Here you're making somewhere between 182 and 273, depending on if you have your happy 10 or not. And so it is a huge benefit. And if you do the math on this one, you literally, I mean, I go out there and build it for the cycles, but I'm looking for the check match, because in the long run, like Zig Ziglar says, if you help enough people get what they want, you're going to get what you want. And that's the way this matching bonus works. The next one that I really love is that the top rank within our company is really 8 legs. You have to have 8 6-star legs and some volume to hit the top of the rank. I love this one so much. When you get into a point where you've got to have 25 or 50, or I mean, I've seen some of these compensation plans. You just got to be a recruiting machine. And the problem is the more time you spend out there getting in new people, the less time you're actually spending helping the people that you've already brought on board. And obviously, I don't think anyone's going to go out there and sponsor 8 good ones. They're all going to go 6-star. You're going to probably have to sponsor maybe hundreds to get to that point. But the fact that at some point in your career, you could hit the top rank in our company and really be having to focus on 8 different legs, that's a huge win in my book. I've always been a big believer. You got to begin with the end in mind. And if you put that up and you shot for that, I promise you're going to need a new, you're going to need a good accountant, that's for sure, because the income potential is amazing. And then the last thing that I think is the last 2 things that I think is important is the right foundation. I can't tell you how important that is. I was with a company that the owners had died and they became billionaires, and their kids were running, and they became billionaires, and I'm sure the grandkids are billionaires by now. And you don't necessarily want that for a corporate owner. I've been in places where maybe the person that's running the company has failed at a bunch of different things, and this is their next big shot. I don't get real excited about those. If you could wave a wand, we sat there a year ago thinking we could wave a wand. What I'd love to have is somebody who's really sharp, who's maybe in their mid 40s, somebody that has a lot of energy, that's got a great work ethic, that's got a stellar integrity and character, somebody that has made money before, doesn't need this, but really wants to build something big. And we found that in the owner of 3 and our CEO, Daniel Pacu. I've known this guy. I met him in July of 2022 for the first time. And I'll tell you, I am so excited to be in business with this man. And we're going to build a legacy company. That's really what we want to do. I hit a point last year where I had a little bit of a wake up call, and I said, you know what, I've got to find a place that I can really run again. At 57 years old, I got another run. I don't have 10 runs in me, but it's got to be with the right people and the right foundation. And we're excited to be building with Daniel. And the other part of it is from the field side. If you take the top 10 or 15 people here have done somewhere around $14-15 billion in the last 20 years. This is probably one of the heaviest benches I have ever seen in network, especially for a startup. And I hate calling it a startup because, all of us have got these years of experience, but some of the top leaders in the industry have came over and helped us launch 3. And we have got a very solid foundation. I'll tell you, that's a very important from the beginning. The first company I got involved with was around 26 years before I got in. Second one was 6 or 7 years in. The next one was 4 or 5 years in. But all of those, I was on the global advisory board, and the concrete had already hardened. All the things that were in place, and the good and the bad was already in place. And from the very beginning, we sat there, and most of the effort, it's kind of like building. I was out in Las Vegas a couple of weeks ago, and you go out there every for a couple of years, you'll see cranes, and there's the big hole in the ground. And the next year you go out a month later, and there's a huge hotel built up. And really, it's the part where the cranes, the foundation is important, because if the foundation is not good, when the wind blows, the thing tips over. And in our industry, if you've been around for a while, you've seen those companies that popped up really quick, but they didn't have the right foundation in place. They didn't have the right leader at the helm, and they didn't have the right leaders with the right ethics in the field. And I remember when we sat down with Daniel for the first time, we gave him a list of all the things we wanted, all the things we didn't want, and also all the people we wanted, and all the ones we didn't want, because I love our business, and it's perfect until you throw people at it. And I thank God where we're at right now, and there's no group of people I'd rather be around than the people who are part of 3, and the foundation is rock solid. And the last thing is the timing. And I've never been one to push timing too heavily, because again, I got involved in the industry. I joined a company that was 26 years old, and by the time I was 25, I'd accomplished a lot of my financial dreams and goals. And so when you build a legacy company, that's what ends up happening. And our goal is to build a legacy company. Over the last 3 years, 4 years, I've got 5 grandkids. I went from having 4 kids to having now a bunch of grandkids, and I want to have an opportunity that will be around for them as well. And so to do that, we've got to have the right foundation, the right people, all that sort of stuff. But what I'm excited about with this one is that even though we're brand new, we're not brand new. I mean, the years of experience that we have over here can't be matched anywhere else. But we just got past the formulation stage. We launched in May. I think we were starting to have $1 million days somewhere around in June, July, and we had a $1.6 million day just recently. And our volume is growing, our teams are growing, thousands of people are joining, the customers are coming on board, the people are loving the products. And I'm telling you, if you think you've heard a lot about 3 so far, you give us a couple of years, because you're going to hear about us, and you're going to hear about us, and you're going to hear about us. And that right there is why I'm excited about 3 and the compensation plan. And again, I don't want to go out there and beat any other companies up or any kind of other compensation plans up, because really, it's at a point where when you talk bad about somebody else, it says more about you than anyone else. I'll just tell you this, that out of all of my years in the industry, there's no compensation plan I've ever seen that's better than this, or that I've participated in. And there's no place I'd rather be in my career than where I am right now with 3. And I think the more that you dig into this, and the more you look at it, look at the people that are involved, get around Kim, get around Samson, get around Corbin and Holly, and some of these other big leaders that are putting this thing together, and look at them. And we're just all smiling. We just got back from a cruise ship. And we had our first promotional cruise. We were supposed to have 200 or 300 people. We had 500 people show up, and we had overflow into Korea and to Bali. So it's been an amazing start of this company. But I'm telling you, we are going to build something amazing. We're going to build a legacy company, and we'd love to have you be part of it. And so with that, I thank you for joining me today. I hope this gave you a better insight of what is so great about the 3 compensation plan. And I look forward to seeing you in the future. We will be cheering for you. Thanks, everyone.